Hey everybody, I just did a scripted video, which I'm not going to post to YouTube. I've always liked to keep things unscripted, because I think it's better. But anyway, I did want to address the topic of what I had said in that video, and it's a phenomenon that I've come up with. It's basically called the possessive attitude. And this is more or less what you see with heterosexuals, and it's one of the main things that keeps the men enslaved. So what is the possessive attitude? We're all very familiar with it because I guess it's a basic fact of heterobiology. What they do is, they see a woman and they basically think, oh, I have to make her mine, whatever the hell that means. I got to make her for my exclusive use. Now, this might have been biologically useful in the past because, well, if another man gets a woman pregnant, you're not getting her pregnant because it just doesn't work that way. So, your genes aren't going to be passed on and yada, yada, yada. But in a modern context, this is a joke. There's more than enough vagina to go around. And this is more or less what the undoing of heterosexuals is. It's this possessive attitude. So here's what happens. You get a man, and this is what beta males do. Alpha males, they don't care about other men having sex with the women, because once they get them, they're more or less done with them. They might return to them a few times, but an alpha male can get about any woman he wants, because he's just good like that. But for a beta male, this is the death of him. So you'll have a beta male, he'll go out, he'll get a woman, and he'll worship at her feet, think she's the best thing in the world. He'll pay it for everything for her. But for some reason, the possessive attitude, he expects her to only have sexual relationships with him forever. Well, what kind of a deal is that? If someone came to me and said, no, you can only have sex with me forever, that's kind of not a very interesting lifestyle or value proposition. I mean, we have condoms. You can prevent STDs. You can prevent pregnancy. This is the 21st century. And, the inevitable result is the wife will cheat on the beta male or the girlfriend. Most likely the wife, because these betas always end up getting married to women. And, he's devastated. After 10 or 15 years, the thought of another man's penis going in her vagina just devastates him so much. And that really bothers me that, they feel that way. Because me, as a bisexual, I had a relationship once with a partner. They slept around on me, and I had no issue with it. The only thing I cared about was whether they used a condom or not. And then I actually had met at least one of the individuals that they had done the sleeping around with me on, and I talked to them, and I actually got along with them very well. But for you heterosexuals, it doesn't work that way. And the reason is you view each other as competitors. Because in the past, when there was real scarcity, and let's face it, there's no scarcity today, folks, in America. There's no scarcity. Your basic needs are taken care of. Pretty much where there's scarcity is on luxury goods that you use to impress women. But as far as you being fed, you being housed, you being clothed, and being taken care of, that gets taken care of. There's more than enough wealth to go around to get all of those things taken care of. So, another interesting thing is, if you look at the elite, they don't have the possessive attitude. Infidelity, cheating, open relationships, this is all very common among politicians, the Hollywood types, business people. Usually the politicians, they try and kind of keep it private. They don't want it to go public because, the mass delusion people out there, for some reason, that think monogamy is a good thing. And I'll get into why you think that later. The politicians are afraid that you'll vote them out. But, well, look at Bill. Hillary doesn't give a shit that Monica did the cigar thing with him. Hillary has her own boy bitch. She's got, might even be lesbian, bisexual. She's got plenty of sexual partners. We all know it. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. So, I've covered the elite and how the elite don't have this. And this is really where it gets into a political context and a social context. They push this possessive attitude on you. Normally, progress happens. You grow out of your biology. You evolve. Anyone who's smart can see that this possessive attitude is, kind of an anachronism. But here's what the elite are doing to screw more wealth out of you. They propagandize the beta males from birth with Disney movies. And they say, oh, there's a prince and a princess. The goal of the prince is to get the princess for his exclusive sexual use. And more or less you follow that model instead of thinking, isn't there something different? Can I get a woman, and have multiple women, and the women I'm being with have multiple women or men, as long as they're using protection. It doesn't really matter as long as they're using protection. But what happens is they propagandize the beta male, and then the princess, they also propagandize the women into telling that promiscuity is wrong, when in fact promiscuity is natural. So then you basically get the women, they get in the mindset that, see, I have to be with one man because the media told me that. He better be a quote-unquote good man. In a MGTOW context, what does that really mean? He's got to be a high earner. He's got to be making the money to pay for all the useless knickknacks that I want and that I can't afford off my own income. So for the lower and middle classes, you get set up in this slave system where you're not around to fool around with anybody because of these social expectations and pressure. Meanwhile, the elite are having a fun time sexually, more or less being more open about things. And the end result of this is you get an angry old Tea Party man whose wife has left him. He's maybe age 55. He's complaining about, oh, the cultural degeneracy degenerated my wife, and she cheated on me. No, what really happened is your wife's natural instincts came back to bite you because you could not see through the Disney movie situation in life. That's not how it really is. People do not naturally like to stick around with people for long. Look in the animal kingdom. Look at what the spiders do. The female spiders kill the male spiders. They hate them that much. Among other animals, they'll have one litter with one male, one litter with another male, and then they go on their merry way. So obviously from a reproductive context, that doesn't really work for humans because, you can't have kids all over the place spread out. That's not a good stable family situation. I just said sexuation. That's got to be a new word. But what I'm saying is, from a sexual context, the sexual act should not bother you. If that is going to get your wife or your husband that sexual pleasure, that they're going to want to stay with you romantically and be there for your kids, but they can go sleep around once in a while to, get that sexual thrill, that's not such a bad idea. The end result is that you hetero men, you have these outdated brains, you'll never get over it, you go to marriage counseling and you divorce. And who's really losing out on this is the young kids, because you're breaking apart families that don't need to be broken apart because you cannot see through the lie that is monogamy. Monogamy had use in the past, but no, it has no use today. That's what condoms are for, and for birth control. There's no point to it. So anyway, that's just my take on what I call the possessive attitude. I've made some other videos about, how the homosexuals keep men down, heterosexual men, and this is really at the heart of it. We don't have to even inject this into you. Part of it is naturally biological, but then we come and hit you on the propaganda front. So you have to go out and seek all this wealth so you can buy a bigger house for your wife, a bigger car to make her pussy wet so she'll sleep with you in the first place. Whatever you got to do to get her, in your bed. So keep in mind the possessive attitude. If you're hetero, don't let it be the death of you. It's a real shame that so many good men get fucked up by their biology.